finals for the Heat. The 2013 NBA championship resides once again in Miami.
And with 25.3 points, almost 11 rebounds a game and 7 assists, the 2013 Bill Russell NBA Finals Most Valuable Player is, for the second straight finals, LeBron James.
When everybody is coming at you, you keep your head and perform at the level you do.
Listen, for me, I can't worry about what everybody say about me. I'm LeBron James from Akron, Ohio, from the inner city. I'm not even supposed to be here. That's enough. Every night I walk into the locker room, I see a number 6 with James on the back. I'm blessed. So what everybody say about me off the court don't matter. I ain't got no worries.
Congratulations, LeBron.
Like you said, Mark, there is such respect for the teams and the coaching staff on these two. We still have 5.9 remaining. Final seconds set to tick off. San Antonio is back on top once again. The Spurs are the 2014 NBA champions.
LeBron James, you know, obviously is entertaining free agency. He's looking forward to it, and it is not a foregone conclusion he's going to return to Miami. Cleveland is a viable option because of the ability to return home, but that has regressed into such a mess. No one should plan on being in Cleveland. You look like a disgrace right now. It's just that bad. It's just that bad. I mean, you get to the point, I mean, what would LeBron be thinking about if he thought about going back to this?
I would be astounded if LeBron James even seriously entertained the notion of going back to Cleveland.
I'm ready to accept the challenge. I'm coming home.
St. Vincent, St. Mary High School, in Akron, Ohio, number 23, LeBron James!
The big breaking news this hour, LeBron James is going back to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Kevin Love and his 26 points and 12 boards per game are teaming with LeBron James in Cleveland.
Go to overtime. Irving falls down, hangs on, gets it to J.R. Smith. Can't hit the three. Green with another rebound. And Kyrie Irving is hurt, limping up the floor. As Irving is going to go back to the Cavalier locker room. Obviously not a good sight for the Cleveland Cavs as Irving limping, walking off the floor. It's over. The championship is back in the Bay for the first time in 40 years.
Are the Cavs done?
Yes, they are. I don't even know why that's a question. The Golden State Warriors have only lost back-to-back games this year one time, and that was in the Western Conference Finals to the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's it. Outside of that, they haven't even lost 2 games in a row. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, this Cleveland Cavaliers team is supposed to convince us that they're going to win 4 of the next 5 games. In order to win this series, their chances of winning this series is 0 as far as I'm concerned. I can't see how Cleveland has any shot of winning this series. It's over. If they lose one of these games, this series is over in 5 at the most. They're not coming back to the Oracle and winning a game 5.
I don't think Cleveland has a chance to win this.
Finishes. James, jumper. Again, LeBron James. Iguodala ahead to Curry. Shumpert in pursuit. Blocked by James. Rejects it. 16 points and 8 rebounds for LeBron James. James steps back as Shumpert's working tonight. Does again. Spades gives him some room. James finish. James fakes. James drives. James finishes. And the foul. James with 4 to shoot. Has to knock up 3. And does. LeBron James with his 3rd three-pointer. Off the races by Cash Irving. Gets inside. Layup blocked by James. Second chase down. Steps back. Tries another 3. That's good. LeBron James from downtown. James jump shot again. All night long he's been hitting from the perimeter. James against Rush. Leads in. Trying to draw the foul. Got him up. Count it. And 1. 40 points for LeBron James. Over the layup. Nice stolen by Irving. Throws it ahead to Smith. Smith. Alley-oop to James. Wow. Right there. Blocked by James. Barbosa can't hold on. Oh, what a defensive play from LeBron James. Irving misses. James offensive rebound. Back up and in. Shot clock winding down. James has to put it up. In the middle of here in Cleveland. Curry blocked by James. Making a statement on both sides of the floor. Says the 2-time MVP. Get it out of here. Count on Harlow. On a magnificent performance. 41 in back-to-back finals games.
When LeBron was down 3-1 to a 73-win Warriors team, I was on Sports Nation at the time. I turned to the camera, and Marcellus Wiley was making some LeBron James excuses. He loves him some LeBron. And I said, I don't want to hear it, LeBron. No one wants to hear the excuses. This is when your back's to the wall. Muhammad Ali fought, guys. He was the underdog. You know why we remember Muhammad Ali? It's not just the social stances he took and what he sacrificed and risked. It's that he did the impossible. Go ahead, LeBron. You want to be one of the all-time greats? Do the impossible. Come back down 3-1 on a 73-win Warriors team and have to close them out in Game 7 on the road.
And I suspect that come Sunday night at the Oracle in Oakland, California, that Steph Curry is going to make his presence felt emphatically. It will take another Herculean performance by LeBron James to win this game.
There are many who strive, but few endure. There are many who struggle, but few prevail. And of those who remain, there is only one who can truly be called a hero.
comes out of the pack. Fakes, drives on Barnes, left-handed, banks it in. Rebound James again. J.R. Smith releases and lays it in. Beautiful pass. Pass right through the hands of Curry.
Steph Curry is going to make his presence felt emphatically.
James drives in hard. Nice adjustment with the left hand. Green leading the break. Green's pass stolen by James, and Mo Williams all alone. 5th turnover for Golden State. James drives. Curry has to get out of the way, and James
is going to make his
Curry drives again.
presence felt
Left-handed blocked by James. Rejected out of bounds. James on the drive. Fouled. Layup. Counted and one. Iguodala fakes. Shot off nicely by Jefferson Barbosa. Shot blocked by James. Curry tries to deny. James gets it. Shot clock winding down into Love. And Love lays it in as the shot clock expires. James looking to post up. Sean Livingston backs in. Tough fall-away shot.
Steph Curry is going to make his presence felt emphatically.
James drives, gets in the paint, puts it up, and puts it in. James drives down the lane, running shot, backs, and it's good. Time to shoot. Ezeli again goes back up on James, steps back for three, puts it in. LeBron James from downtown. Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with a rejection.
My goodness. Great pass by Curry, running hard by Iguodala. Defensive recovery by LeBron James.
Irving drives to James, misses the jam, but fouled.
Now admit that you have doubts about his clutch.
There's no
He doesn't have any clutch D.
Worst case scenario, you got to give him one free throw. That should be the mindset. I missed it. You got to step up and knock this free throw down to be LeBron James. Warriors will no doubt timeout. Miss or make here from James. Timeout Golden State. Jeff Van Gundy. Iguodala to inbound. Shumpert trying to stay with Curry. Catches. One dribble, steps back, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound tip taken by Space. Final seconds. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions. Cleveland's long sports nightmare has ended. The drought is over. 52 years. Time to celebrate a title. And the emotions for LeBron James, who delivers on his promise to come home and bring a championship to his beloved hometown. James Jones, his longtime teammate, is with him for all 6 of these consecutive finals. And an emotional Tyronn Lue. What a scene, an emotional scene for LeBron James. These diehard fans, so passionate. They so love their teams. Decades of heartbreak of being teased, but it never diminished their passion. And now they're rewarded. More to come here from Oracle Arena as LeBron James and the Cavaliers win the NBA championship. And a celebration just underway in the city of Cleveland. Let's go to Doris.
Mike, overcome with emotion is exactly how I would describe LeBron's reaction as he shares a hug with Kyrie. We'll get in a minute, but he is still crying tears of joy. LeBron. No worries, Kyrie. LeBron, as soon as that buzzer sounded, your emotions let loose. Can you describe what you're feeling right now?
I set out a goal 2 years when I came back to bring a championship to this city. I gave everything that I had. I poured my heart, my blood, my sweat, my tears to this game, and against all odds, I don't know why we want to take the hardest road. I don't know why the man above gives me the hardest road, but it's nothing the man above don't put you in situations that you can't handle. And I just kept that same positive attitude, like, instead of saying, why me, they're saying this is what he want me to do. And Cleveland, this is for you. Oh.
LeBron, you did what no other team had been able to do, coming back from a 3-1 deficit in the finals. And to do that, you had to win twice in a place that proved too much for so many teams. What did you find in Game 5 here?
Just locked in. I had to change my approach a little bit on how I approach the game. I wasn't that good in the first 2 games here in this building. I watched a lot of film, detailed it out, changed my blueprint, and was able to put together some spectacular games after being down 3-1. History, we're in the record books. We're the first team ever to come back from a 3-1 deficit. This is special.
We'll see in a few minutes on the podium. Mike.
Thank you, Doris. One of the great storybook endings in all of sports. It looked like earlier in the finals like it was going to end like so many other seasons for the Cleveland sports teams with a defeat and a wait till next year. But LeBron James and the Cavaliers win 3 straight, 2 here at Oracle Arena. Has there ever been a player more valuable to his team than James has been in Cleveland the last 2 years?
You think about what he was able to accomplish. Coming back to Cleveland, making the statement, taking a team that had been awful the previous 4 years, and flat out got it done. I said before, Mike, this is the greatest individual achievement in the history of this league, what he did.
Those 4 years he was in Miami, Cleveland had the worst record in the NBA during that span. He comes back to that finals and a championship season for the city of Cleveland. Final score, Game 7, Cavaliers 93, Warriors 89. We'll be back to Oakland for the trophy presentation. A shocking ending for Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors to lose their last 2 games at Oracle Arena, the most dominant home court in the NBA over the past 2 years. As they failed to repeat, coming up short in Game 7 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron James came back home to deliver a championship to his hometown. He fulfilled his promise tonight with a spectacular road performance in the 4th quarter to win the championship. Let's get the ceremonies going right now and go to PA announcer Matt Horowitz.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to center court for the presentation of the Larry O'Brien Trophy and the 2016 Bill Russell NBA Finals Most Valuable Player Award. Please welcome.
Wherever he went, he won. In just 4 years, he led 3 teams to championships at 3 different levels: high school, college, and the pros. And along the way, he charmed us all, flashing a smile bright enough to light the city of Los Angeles. Magic Johnson turned a laid-back show-me culture into a college crowd that lived and died with each Laker game. It was a love affair. They called it Showtime. Magic played 12 full seasons in the NBA, leading the Lakers to 5 titles and 9 appearances in the finals. As a 6'9" guard, he revolutionized the position and resurrected the triple-double. Then, one day in 1991, he stepped to the line and announced it was all over.
Because of the HIV virus that I have attained, I will have to retire from the Lakers today.
Well, you talk about letting the air out of a balloon, having a crash landing, and there's no words to define what that meant to this franchise, what that meant to those of us who were so close to him.
We do not, want to eulogize him. We want to now give him, all the love and support and prayers, and all the other people that are afflicted by this insidious disease. AIDS was synonymous with death. And I think that's immediately what everybody feared, is that Magic was going to die.
Everyone was afraid for him personally. I just didn't want to see this bubbly, enthusiastic guy suddenly not be that way anymore. And that was my greatest concern for him. It wasn't the basketball part of it.
At the time that Magic Johnson announced that he was HIV positive, the prevailing medical intelligence was that by this time, Magic Johnson would either be a pathetic, dying man, barely recognizable physically, or he'd already be dead.
It was just like knowing someone that's got cancer. It's cancer that's run throughout their entire body. You know they're gonna die. It's just a matter of time.
I asked the Lord to please let my son live. Don't take his life.
As shockwaves from Magic's disclosure radiated well beyond the sports world, he was left with an even more painful task: the emotional disengagement from the Laker brotherhood and the game that had always sustained him.
The hardest thing for Earvin that day was not speaking to the press and telling the world. It was going downstairs to the locker room and telling his fellow teammates that he's not going to be there anymore for them. He's not going to be on the court. That was the only time I saw Earvin Johnson break down.
Magic called the night before and told me that he had something then very important he wanted to say to me and to meet him at the Forum, and that's when he told me. And all I could do was cry.
This isn't how the movie's supposed to end. The good guys are always supposed to ride off in the sunset.
The day that we found out, it just seemed like the end of the world. We cried and we thought that it was over. Even with this devastation, he just said, you know what, we're gonna fight this thing. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
He tried to be as positive as he could, and he smiled, which is his usual response to everything.
He said, I'm gonna do it the way I've always done it, which is exactly the way he handled it today, directly, honestly, and in an extraordinarily upbeat fashion, which is just magic.
My father taught me strength, and that's what I am. I'm too strong. I don't worry about it, I just keep going.
It was this unshakable optimism that carried a new and penetrating message about AIDS to a nation in denial.
To have a man like Magic Johnson come out and say, yeah, I'm HIV positive, and watch me continue with my life, lets a lot of people realize that this is not the end of life.
If the end was unclear, Magic's story started with a little boy, a basketball, and a dream. Far from the ravages of his social disease, he was born in Lansing, Michigan, to Christine and Irvin Johnson in 1959, one of 10 children.
When he was about 6, he used to roll up socks and go around the house and pretend it was a basketball.
He would use the clothes basket and he would shoot these socks.
Playing one-on-one with the socks, he would be Wilt Chamberlain, I would be Walt Frazier. So I just had to do what I had to do to take him to school. Yeah.
The youngest of 4 boys, Irvin rarely felt the luxurious touch of new clothes.
My brother's pants went down to me and so on. As you look back, it kind of hurted because you couldn't dress the way the other kids dressed. But like I said, as a big family, you learn how to appreciate what you have.
What Irvin appreciated most was not a hand-me-down, but a brand new object. It was round, and one day would fit in his hand like a king's scepter.
His dad bought him his first basketball. That was the highlight of his life. If you could see the smile on his face, you would thought it was Christmas.
It didn't matter what time of the day it was. He could be going to school to catch the bus. He would dribble a basketball. The neighbors would have to tell him, Irvin, cut it out. Early in the morning, you hear a ball dribbling, going down the street, and the neighbors used to get so mad at him.
Dribbled it to the store, downtown, back, just around the block. That shows you interest right there. That, hey, this is what he's gonna do.
He not only wanted to play the game, but he wanted to change the game.
His legend grew from playing on the playgrounds, because everybody would see this kid and come out, man, he can play. And then they tell somebody else, and then it just got all over town, and they started looking for him and asking for him. Let's play, let's play.
In 1974, Irvin took his playground game to Everett High School.
I could see the greatness of Irvin Johnson. He was about 14 years old coming into high school. Once we got in a game, he would always include everybody. He wanted to win. That meant if he had to score 50, he would. But if he had to score 20 and get everybody else involved, that's the greatness that I appreciated about Irvin.
I just love playing, getting out there and, hoping our team wins. If I'm playing pickup ball, whenever, I just want to win.
In his first season, Johnson pulled the Everett Vikings out of the doldrums of losing basketball as they became state championship contenders for the first time. In the process, he became the darling of the press.
The guy came in and said, I gotta give you a nickname. I've never seen anything like this. And I said, I'm 15 now. I started giggling. All my boys, they giggling too. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, give him a nickname. So he says, somebody's called Dr. J. Somebody has the name Big E. He said, can I call you Magic? Like, yeah, right. So the next day in the paper back home, Irvin Magic Johnson.
Dubbed Magic, his fame spread through Michigan.
Even if you didn't go to Everett, you knew who he was. All the girls would say, well, can you tell your brother to call me? I'm like, no, I can't tell my brother to call you. There were just things like that, or do you think you could get me some tickets? No, I can barely get my own tickets. He had this huge afro, and his afro had to be in place. He used to ask one of us, because we had so many girls, if we could braid his hair.
It had to be picked out and blown out, and it had to be shaped. It had to be looking good. He didn't play with his fro, and so we took good care of him.
In his senior year, Magic averaged 29 points and led Everett to where it had never gone.
For this team, Everett High School, who really didn't have a history of basketball, to win the state title, it was just like, who's Everett? And all of a sudden, here they are, and they couldn't be stopped.
Recruited by over 100 schools nationwide, the hometown heroes stayed put and attended Michigan State.
He wanted to be a guard from day one, even though he was 6'8". His first game, he scored 7 points and had 7 turnovers, and there were people that said, well, Judd is ruining Magic Johnson, playing him out of position.
But Magic quickly adjusted to his new position, and by mid-season, the Spartans stood in the glare of the national spotlight.
That's what I remember about Michigan State, the fact that we got a chance to change college basketball in a sense, and we did it with style and flair.
He had an unbelievable basketball IQ. He was the leader. He was a take-charge guy from the day he walked on the court.
As Michigan State's resident basketball genius, Magic had clearly found a new home. He also found Cookie, his future wife.
We totally fell in love at first sight. I had a boyfriend at the time, and when I decided to go to Michigan State, he's, no, you can't go to Michigan State. And I'm like, why can't I go to Michigan State? You know, he's like, you're gonna meet Magic. You're gonna meet Magic and marry him. And that's the truth. That's a true story. And at the time, I had no clue who he was. He had the whole world at his feet at 18. He became 2 different people. When he was with me, he was Irvin. But the minute we stepped outside that door, he became Magic. And I didn't like Magic that much.
But Johnson's Magic side prevailed in 1979 as the Spartans improved each game. Soon they would face the ultimate test, the run for the national championship. At the end of the 1970s, college basketball was still in recovery from several crippling point-shaving scandals dating back to the 50s.
College basketball was not a national sport, and the networks didn't cover the Final Four or the final game the way they would later. There was not the hype, there was not the media attention, there was not the newspaper attention.
Aided by forward Greg Kelser, Magic led the Spartans into the Final Four. If the nation took interest, the Michigan State student body was aquiver with joy.
Michigan State hadn't had a winning team like that in a long time. And, you know, to make it to the Final Four, you know, it was great, and it was very exciting. I mean, it was the tension on campus. It was just like, you know, about to boil over.
Meanwhile, across the southern state line, Larry Bird's Sycamores of Indiana State savored their unbeaten season.
We were totally shocked. I mean, we'd watched them all year long coming along, and we kind of thought, you know, well, as soon as they get to the tournament, then we'll find out the real thing. And somehow they just kept winning. Michigan State wasn't a drop kick then either. I mean, back then it was believed that Magic was great, but, oh, he couldn't shoot. And so it wasn't a foregone conclusion that we'd see Magic and Larry in the final.
And then the unlikely occurred. Magic and Bird would meet for the national title. Their differences were striking.
When Larry Bird played against Magic Johnson in the 1979 NCAA finals, you would have thought that there couldn't be 2 people less alike in the world.
I did not like Larry Bird. He didn't like me because we were both going after the same thing. I wanted to be the best, and he wanted to be the best. So it's like 2 old gunslingers saying, meet me out front. And, you know, only one could survive.
All of a sudden, you had a college basketball game that felt